Hi, I'm Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy Segment Show. Also today in this segment, I'm at the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada. The Clark County Museum is located on 1830 South Boulder Highway in Henderson, Nevada, and is open 9 to 4:30, 7 days a week, except for the major holidays, which are Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day. Also, the museum was founded in 1967 by the Henderson Chamber of Commerce as the Southern Nevada Museum. The Clark County Museum is the oldest museum in the Vegas Valley as well. Also, the site has a lot of artifacts, attractions, and old historic buildings you'll experience, such as the Galmond House, Giles Barkis House, Beckley House, Esslinger Barn, Ghost Town, and Mining Trail, and a lot more. And also has a steam engine, caboose, boxcar, and a baggage car, as well as a train depot that came from Boulder City, Nevada. And all these were used by Union Pacific, and also the place has a passenger car that it has an unknown railroad it was used on in the past as well. Okay, as you can see right here, here's a mine cart that's on display here at the Clark County Museum in Henderson. It may have been once used here in the state a long time ago, but now here it is on display. There's another one here, or I think there's two. Let's go see. Okay, here are a few more mine carts behind me, just like the one we just recently saw. And yeah, I like how they have them displayed here as mine memorabilia. What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 4442.
Union Pacific 4442 was built by Baldwin in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1918 and is the 482-76 steam locomotive built by that factory and is an 060 six-wheeler type steam locomotive and is a 4421 class steam locomotive. Union Pacific 4442 was once used as a switch engine in the yards of the Union Pacific Railroad and was built to burn coal. Union Pacific 4442 was used in Omaha, Nebraska and used to do switching at the rail yard of the Union Pacific Railroad. Also, Union Pacific 4442 was retired in 1958 and was soon donated to the city of Council Bluffs, Iowa. Later, it was moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, and put on display in Fantasy Park, and even kids got to climb all over the engine, and the engine got to Fantasy Park as the Union Pacific Railroad laid rails for the locomotive to be leapfrogged on all the way to Fantasy Park. Then, when Fantasy Park was being taken out of existence, the city of Las Vegas offered the locomotive to the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada. Also, the locomotive had to be lifted on a flatbed, so the city called the National Guard the local tank hauling unit, and they said they'll do it as a training exercise. And it was set on the flatbed and blew out tires, and the people had to replace some of the tires. Then it was moved easily to the museum in Henderson without any issues. Also, the locomotive then made it to the final resting point at the museum, and also it used to be climbed on by people when it was in Fantasy Park, and the locomotive is inside a fence for display at the Clark County Museum these days. Also, Union Pacific 4442 is one of 6 surviving Union Pacific 060s left in the world today and can be found here at the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada, where it is today.
What you see right behind me is the passenger coach.
This passenger coach is believed to have been built by Pullman around the 1920s and is a passenger coach. The railroad this coach worked for is unknown, and its original number is unknown. It may be possible that this car may have once been used by the Union Pacific Railroad many years ago. It was used on passenger trains many years ago and carried passengers on board going from place to place. Then later on, it was retired and then came to be part of the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada, where it is today.
What you see right behind me is the Union Pacific baggage car.
The Union Pacific baggage car was built I believe, between the mid-1920s and 1950s and is a baggage car. The original number to this car is unknown. This car was used on passenger trains for the Union Pacific Railroad many years ago and carried baggage and mail on board many years ago. Then later on, it was retired and then came to be part of the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada, where it is today.
Okay, you can see right behind me, here's a speeder that's here on display next to the caboose at the museum. And they had this speeder here for such a long time. And yeah, I wonder if it NP 110 2265 it looks like. And I think that speeder was obviously used for Northern Pacific a long time ago, but yeah. You could see right here, here's a crossing signal next to the train depot on display. This may have been used by Union Pacific a long time ago, but here it is today. Stands proudly on display on this cement thing right here. And yeah, it's all here to see and enjoy here at the Clark County Museum in Henderson. What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 25147.
Union Pacific 25147 was built by Pullman in 1944 and is a CA4 class steel caboose. This caboose was one of the many steel Union Pacific cabooses used behind freight trains on the Union Pacific line. Originally, it was numbered as Union Pacific 3847. Then, in 1959, it was renumbered as Union Pacific 25147, which it is currently. Then, in 1987, it was then retired and then came to be part of the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada, where it is today, and you can even check out the interior of it as well.
What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 171-500.
Union Pacific 171-500 was built around the 1900s and is a 40-foot boxcar. Union Pacific 171-500 was used on freight trains many years ago and would be used on a mixed freight train or a freight train of boxcars on the Union Pacific Railroad many years ago and would also be used to carry cargo such as boxes, crates, merchandise, rolls of paper, and etc. Then Union Pacific 171-500 was retired and then came to be part of the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada, where it is today.
What you see right behind me is the Union Pacific Boulder City Depot.
The Union Pacific Boulder City Depot was built in 1931 and had served as the Union Pacific Freight and Passenger Depot in Boulder City, Nevada, where it was originally located and was built to handle passenger and freight for Boulder City and Hoover Dam, and the depot itself would be where passengers would arrive on a train coming from somewhere into Boulder City or boarding a train going somewhere from Boulder City on a Union Pacific passenger train, and would be where people would buy a ticket and wait for a train as well. Then later on, this depot was retired, and in 1976 it was moved to this location at the Clark County Museum in Henderson, Nevada, where it can be seen today. And also, it is the first historic structure moved to the museum as well, and also you can even go inside it as well.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed learning about trains with me today in Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show. Also, I hope to see you all again in the next segment. And also, if you did not subscribe to the channel yet, please consider doing. That will mean a lot to me. And if you didn't like my Facebook page yet, please do. I'll appreciate that too. And if you didn't follow the Instagram page yet, please do that too. And this is Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show, signing out. Until next time, all aboard.